Hello, and sorry I was just a few minutes late. I had some technical difficulties getting my broadcast going. Not sure what's going on there, but Facebook, sometimes has surprises for us. So welcome. This is my stamp studio. I'm Beth Maxwell. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and super excited that you're joining me today. So I'm just getting my feeds going here, just waiting for some people to join. And there I am. Let me know when you're joining. Say hello so I know that people are there. Hello, Beth. How are you? And I thought I saw Dan peek in. Dan, you can say hi. So today is all about farmers markets. And the reason I'm doing this is because who doesn't love a great farmers market? Who doesn't love a great craft fair? Okay, I know there's guys out there that really do appreciate farmers markets and craft fairs. Don't deny it. I know it's one of your secret guilty little pleasures. We talked about this last week. So admit it, you can. It's all right. So what I love about farmers markets is everything is fresh and new and it just all looks so yummy. You just want to buy everything, right? And you have those favorite places that you like to go and shop at. You always look for those little booths. Well, today I am actually kicking off my online version of a farmer's market. So every week for the next 7 weeks on Thursday nights at 6:45 here on Facebook, I am going to be making projects that you could sell at a farmer's market, you could find at a farmer's market, or you could sell at a craft fair. So it's all about actually just getting crafty and getting your hands sticky and inky and having a lot of fun. So it's beyond cards. So we'll do a couple cards somewhere in there as projects, but pretty much it's going to be some fun 3D projects. Each week we'll be doing 2 to 3 projects. It depends on how much time it takes per project. Now, those of you that are on my email list, woohoo, bonus for you, you are going to get a project sheet each week for the projects that we make. Yeah. And if there is some sort of template or something needed, because you're on my email list, I'm going to send that to you as well. So this is only for my email subscribers. So if you want to get the free stuff, make sure you sign up. Now I have posted a link on my Facebook page. I'll also post it in the My Stamp Studio group. So if you aren't already signed up, make sure you do. You don't want to miss out the next 7 weeks because every Friday morning I will be sending it to you. Yes, Beth, you are good. You are most wonderful. Hello, Anne. How are you today? Oh, and we have Arlene there too. Welcome. So let's see. What else do I want to tell you about? August Card Club. That is going to be announced tomorrow as well. That is going to be Glad We're Friends. I was a little late on my club and my class to go this month. We had some family emergencies that we had to deal with, so we're getting through those. But I do have them made. They're all designed and ready to go. I just didn't get the marketing out for it. So that email will be going out. And I'm going to extend the deadline for signups through the end of the month. Just note that class to go and club cannot be combined with other purchases because I'm going to be offering different specials for different things. Also, another event that's coming up in October, I'm going to have a class to go. I'm going to have a card club, but I'm also kicking off a Christmas card series. Actually, it's a 12 weeks of Christmas. It's not just Christmas cards. So all sorts of different things there. That I will be doing actually on YouTube. So I'm going to be doing YouTube lives. Kind of scary because I'm not so sure how it's going to work. Facebook lives are pretty easy. I think I got that down pat. Yeah, we'll see what happens. All the farmers market Facebook videos I'm going to do, I'm also uploading to YouTube because I do have a lot of customers that are not Facebook fans. So they prefer YouTube. So I'll be loading all these up on YouTube. I try to do it the same night, but it depends on if Facebook and the internet want to play nice together and let me upload the videos. So again, make sure you're signed up for my email list because that is key to getting the project sheets and all the information. Yeah, let's get started. I'm going to flip my camera down. Close your eyes if you get dizzy. We've got a lot to play with tonight. Just need to turn my camera here. Let's see. There we go. There we go. We got my desktop now instead of my fan in my hands. All right. Hello, Amy. Welcome. Haven't seen you for a while. Thanks for joining tonight. Okay. Hello, Barbara. Nice to see you again. Hi, Amy. Okay, so let's see. Let's talk about farmers market. So let me just pull out my handy dandy little sheet. I haven't decided what my special is going to be. I'm going to have a special. And really, the purpose of me doing the farmers videos, the farmers market, is to show you different projects that you can make and make a large amount and sell them at a craft fair or a farmers market, or give them as gifts, or, you know, make it for yourself. And the goal here is really, I'd love for you to shop in my online store and pick up some of the products used to make these. So we're going to share projects that can be made in bulk. So let's see, what are we going to work on first? I have 3 fun projects tonight. I can't decide which one I want to do first. Let's see. Okay, there's 1, there's 2. Where's my 3rd one? There's 3. Okay. Let's start with this one. We are going to make this adorable calendar. Yes, I know it's 2022 and we'll be going on 2023, but that's okay. You can pick up your little calendars and you can make them whatever year you want just by switching out that little calendar set there. But I'm going to show you how I made this adorable little stand that someone can actually put on their desk. So it would just stand up on their desk. So let's get this out of the way. I'm going to actually just move this up. And let's do this. Let's go ahead and grab a piece of cardstock here. I'm just going to write down our host code. So this host code, I'm hoping will be good through the whole entire series of classes. So again, it's 7 weeks, and it is 9. V as in Victor. E as in Edward, 9. X-ray, Barbara, hello, and apples. All right, I'm just going to put this right up the top of my screen here. And go ahead and just, take a little list, and all the measurements, everything will be given on the project sheets. Make sure you sign up for the email subscription. That's how you're going to get these project sheets. Otherwise, yeah, you can play the video back and forth and, watch as many times as you want to write those all down. All right, so we're first going to start with a piece of Poppy Parade, and that is going to measure 4 1/4 by 11 inches. So I'm just going to pull out a sheet. I'm going to show you how I'm doing this from start to finish with my whole pieces here. So I've got my 8 1/2 by 11. I'm going to go to 4 1/4, and I'm going to cut this down. All right, I'm going to put the one piece aside, and now this piece I'm going to turn, and I'm going to cut it at 5 1/2. And boy, I sure hope I have my dimensions. Uh-oh. Oh, please, I gotta find my dimensions here. Oh, geez Louise. Okay, we may have to measure as we go because I don't know what I did with my dimensions. I had them written down. Go figure. Always gonna lose something for a live. Let me just see here. I know I had it all written down. I specifically wrote it down so I would have it and I could write the tutorial. Here we go. I've got it. Okay. So I'm going to take this 5 1/2 by 4 1/4, and I'm going to score this at, I don't even have it written down. Okay. 1 1/4. Where's my scoring tool? Where did that just run off to? There it is. So mine, I broke the little leggies on it. I gotta get a new one. So it keeps popping out of my little tray here. All right. So I am going to score this at actually 1 1/4. So let's go to my 1 1/4 mark. I'll hold it down with my grid here, my guide. I'm going to move it over to 2 3/4. And then I'm going to move it to 4 1/4. All right. Now, what I'm going to do here, and I think actually an even better way to do all these projects is going to be using our score tool here. And maybe I won't because, there it is. I put it in a safe place. I clean up and I put things in a safe place. It's going to be easier to bring this out. All right. So now I have this piece all scored. So I am going to actually take it right in the middle. Just going to fold it like that. And then these two sides, these wings, I'm going to call them, I'm just going to fold up. So this is how this piece is going to look. All right. So you need it like that. We'll put it aside, and we'll get our other piece of Poppy Parade. That was 4 1/4 by 11. And I'm going to score this right at 5 1/2. When you're doing quite a few of these, it's so much easier to use your score pal here. And I don't think that's the name of it. Hold on while I get you the name of this one. It's our handy dandy scoring tool. So I'm going to look in the back of my catalog here, right at my accessories index. And let's see, we're going to go to, where is it at? Tools, cutting and scoring, page 155. I can't believe I just blanked on this. So it's our Simply Scored scoring tool. Amazing. When you're, like I said, when you're doing a number of these, so if you're making like 10 of them, what I would do is I would leave my sheet completely full and do my scoring and then trim it down. It makes it so much easier because you have your pieces all cut. So, all right, so we have this one. So on one of the other projects, we'll be using this. I will be using that score tool quite a bit throughout the farmer's market. It is a really handy tool. All right, so taking our bone folder there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this in. Now I want to use a very strong adhesive. So I'm going to pull out my Stamp and Seal. Now, sometimes I am challenged with Stamp and Seal. So I'm going to give you the secrets I use when I'm doing them. And maybe you have no challenges. I do. So I'm going to actually just take my Seal Plus here, and I'm going to run it along that score line. Right along here. Okay. When I'm doing this, I'm going to make sure I get that started. I'm going to go slow and I'm going to lift it. The reason I'm going slow is I find that if I try to do this really fast, I end up ripping my paper. Not sure why, but it happens. A true story. So I like to go, take your time with it. Enjoy your crafting. Okay. So now we've got our piece just like this. First thing we'll do is take this one, and I'm going to line this fold right here, this score, to one of the sides, right to the edge. Oop. And, oh, that's good enough. And then I'm going to fold this one down, and then I'm just going to bring my other side and rub it down. Okay, there we go. Now I've got my easel, just like that. All right. You don't even see that extra thing, and you don't see that extra seam. It looks like just a regular card. It's on your inside. So that's how that is. The next thing we're going to use is, I'm going to pull out my gnome, Kindest Gnomes, and my gnome dies. I'm going to pull out a piece of Pool Party. And this measures 5 1/8 by 3 7/8. I have another piece of Pool Party, which measures 3 1/8 by 2 3/8. And the reason I have that is because it is the size of my calendar here. Now I know you're going to ask, where did you get these fun little calendars? I went online and I found Tailored Expressions, and I purchased them from there. So I buy it in bulk because I've made quite a few of them. I found that they actually have a pretty good deal on it. And yeah, I just go online and order it from there. I actually went through eBay and searched it. So otherwise you can go to tailoredexpressions.com. All right, so this is just like a hair bigger than the calendar. So that's all I wanted to do with that. I have a piece of Designer Series paper. This is measured 5 inches by 3 3/4. And I'm just going to go ahead and layer it on there. Again, when I'm using my Seal Plus, I want to go slow. And when I'm making these kind of 3D projects, so any project that's not a card that has dimension to it, I call a 3D project. And you always want to make sure that you are using enough adhesive. Do not skimp on your adhesive. That is the worst thing you can do, especially when you're trying to sell things at a craft fair or a farmer's market. No one wants to buy product that's going to fall apart. And if you have products that's falling apart on your display, they're going to, maybe it was just that one that fell apart, but I tell you what, people are going to think that all of it's going to fall apart and they're not going to want to buy from you. Just some voices of experience. Okay, so now I'm going to take this one as well. And again, I'm putting enough adhesive on. And I'm going slow to my runner here and just flicking it at the end a little bit. I'm actually tilting it. And then I'll put this on the front. So it doesn't matter which side. And you just want to center that. All right, just like that. So we're almost done. All right, we're going to take our calendar here. And I'm going to put that right onto my pool party. Just going to center it on this piece of cardstock. And I'm going to take this again, put enough adhesive on. You don't want this falling off. So I'm going to go on all four sides here. So stock up on your adhesive. If you're doing craft fairs or making, 3D projects, stock up on your adhesive. I recommend the Seal Plus, and tear and tape is probably my other favorite to use. Liquid glue works really well really well, but it takes longer to dry. So you just have to have a little more patience because you need to let it dry before you move on to your next step, because it can, it gives you that wiggle room. Well, you got to let that wiggle dry before you can do anything. All right, so our next step here is to get our gnomes all stamped and colored. So I need a piece of scrap paper here, and I'll use this because I'm going to use it for our next project as well. So here we go. I know white on white, kind of hard to see, but that's okay. We're going to be coloring, so you're going to see everything in a minute. Now I'm going to be using my Stampin' Blends, so I need to use my Memento marker. I'm going to put my gnome dies aside for right now. We will be using those. You don't have to. You can cut them by hand. But I tell you what, if you're trying to make a number of these, really it's worth the investment on getting the dies, because you can, send it through quickly. And if you're someone that does a lot of craft fairs and, uses your dies quite a bit, I'd really recommend also the larger cut and emboss machine versus the mini. If you're someone who's just going to make these, a couple here, a couple there, and you want to use dies, then go ahead, get the mini. That will work just as well. But if you're making them en masse, you'll want to use the larger ones. Now, I know that I'm going to be stamping quite a few of my gnomes here. So I want to grab my larger block because I'm going to stamp all of them at one time. So I know on this particular one, I know I'm stamping 3 different ones. So I'm going to space them apart here so I can, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to fit them all on there. Okay. So we'll just do 2 at a time. All right. You can use whichever combination of gnomes you want. I just happen to like these 3. Now my background here has a little bit of snow and snowflakes in it. You can use whatever designer series paper you have. So almost, I would say the majority of the projects that I'm going to be doing for the farmer's market do use a combination of stamps and dies and designer series paper. All right. Oh, and I thought oh, well, I guess I am going to have to color and die cut. I thought I did these ahead of time, and I did not. All right. I did my other project ahead of time. Okay. All right. So I've got my 3. I'm going to stamp the other 2 right away. And I'm going to come back in with another sheet here. I'm not going to color in all of these right away, so we're going to do them project by project. But I know that I'm going to need several of these. One more of these. Okay, let's go ahead and clean our stamps here. Put them aside. Okay. Cover this up, and let's get to coloring. So I'll just grab this one for right now. And I'm going to start with my, I've got my, let's see, what do I have here? I've got my skin tones, which are they're called like the light blends. They're found on page, I think it's 128 in the catalog. But they have like this SU 1000 and SU 900. If you go to type them in, it is the lights blends. Okay, so I'm going to use this lighter color. Now, there are different colors. There are all sorts of skin tones that they have. So whatever skin tone you feel like coloring, go ahead. I just grab this one. So I'm coloring their little face and their hands right away. Now, this little guy here, I'm going to zoom in a little bit while I'm coloring. Hopefully, I remember to zoom back out later. Okay. So this guy has a little face right here. So I like to just dot in there because I don't want my ink to kind of smear. So I'm just dotting. As long as you get most of it colored, you're all good. All right. And you know what? For grins and giggles, I'm going to go ahead and grab one of the other colors here. And we'll grab the, which one's this one? 200, 400? Okay. Well, I grabbed a few of them here. And there's a lights, there's a dark lights, there's a medium light, medium dark. So I'm just grabbing some. So let's go ahead and grab this one. And I'll go ahead and color in his little nose. And color in his hands. All right. All right, let's get his hands colored here. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and grab another one of the colors. We're going to grab this one here, and I'm going to actually kind of color this in. So I've got a different skin tone. So you can mix and match these as well and get some different varieties of skin tones. There we go. All right. So now, next thing I want to do is I want to color in their hats. So we're going to grab our Poppy Parade and our Balmy Blue. I am also bringing in my Pool Party Light and my Soft Suede, or which one is this? This is the dark, medium dark. So I'm going to color his shoes in. So let's just get that done right away. I really should have done these ahead of time. I know how fun it is to watch someone color. But I mean, with blends, it actually colors pretty quick. Now, some of it I'll just be coloring solid, just like I am with these. Other ones, I am going to actually blend in the color, so you can see kind of how it gives it some depth. But this way, I have these colored ahead of time. So next time we go, I'll have them done. All right. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and bring in my Pool Party. So this is the light Pool Party, and what I'm going to do here, I am just going to go along, is this the light or is this the dark? That's the light. I'm going to go along the lines in the beard. Okay, and I'm not doing every line, I'm just doing some. I just want to give it a little dimension in there. I'm not coloring it in solid. Again, I'm just randomly going along those lines. And this first little guy, I'm going to take my Pale Papaya. Now, where did I get the colors from? I got the colors from the Designer Series paper I was using. So we're going to go ahead and just color his little pants in here. All right. Cooper, stop it. What are you chewing on? Hey, hey, hey. No chewing. Here's a ball. Okay, so if you haven't watched me before, my dog's name is Cooper, and Cooper likes to do things to bother me when I'm doing a video. or alive. He'll find something to destroy or chew on really loud. And so he was chewing on something that was kind of totally distracting me. All right, so now I'm taking my dark poppy parade here, and I'm just kind of coloring these sleeves in a little bit. All right. And now I'm bringing my light poppy parade, and oops, probably should have used a chisel end, but I didn't. And I'm going to just color that in. I'm going to blend in that dark. And then in a moment when this dries, you'll be able to see a little shadow. It just gives it a little bit of depth. So now we're going to color in our hat here. I want to do it in balmy blue, but underneath here is kind of the flap of his hat. So I'm going to add in a little Bermuda Bay there. And so when I go to bring in my dark balmy blue, I'm getting kind of a different color there, kind of like a shadow. And then I'm going to go ahead and just put some right in here. And I might as well color the other things in balmy blue that I want to do. So I'm going to do, let's see, his pants. So I'm going to go right along his beard here, right on his hand. And then we'll do this hat. Yeah. So in here, I'm going along those lines. But then I'm going to color this all in here. It just, like I said, gives some dimension. Color this in here. Kind of give that a little bit of a shadow. And now let's just color his pants. Just color his pants all in blue. All right, and I'll do his little cuffs on his shirt. Okay. I'm going to come back in with my light balmy blue now. And I'm just going to go ahead and go from my dark into my white uncolored areas. That will really kind of blend that in instead of making it look like a really, you know, just like a dark color. And I do like to have my scrap paper underneath because these will bleed through a little bit. So just have a scrap piece of paper underneath. Don't color on your project. He will be very unhappy. And, oh, his pants here. All right, and we'll just color his shirt in too. We'll do it in the light. There we go. Okay, now we're going to get to the other things that we didn't do yet. So let's do his arms here. And we'll do, oh, I did that one already. Let's see. Just him and his hat. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and we'll do the dark over here. I'm just coloring the one from one side. I'll add a little bit of dimension there. And now I'll come back in with my light. It doesn't matter if you use the brush end or the chisel end, whatever you're more comfortable with. For coloring larger areas, I like to use the brush side. I feel like it goes faster. But you can also do very detailed areas with it too with the tip. All right, there we go. Okay, and I want to add a little color to his mouth, so I'm going to use the same Poppy Parade in his mouth. I want to actually color the light here in Pool Party. Just because I was too lazy to go grab another color. And let's go ahead and I'm going to actually lighten up kind of the middle of his hat a little bit here. I'm going to do that over here too. Yeah, we'll just do a little bit over here. So what that color lifter do is just lifting up some of the color. So you can kind of see it's getting a little lighter. It just adds a little something to it. Okay, pretty much I just got to color that lantern. So I'm just going to grab any color here. Let's see, let's grab, I don't know, I'll just grab this brown here. Phew, glad it's a different brown because I couldn't remember what brown I used for the shoes and the skin. All right. So he's holding his little lantern. And now I'm going to die cut these. And then I'm going to come back in with my Wink of Stella and color in their beards just to give them a little more color. So let's bring in our die cut machine. I need to move my paper out of the way. So this is a large die cut machine. Let's zoom back out here. And I need to grab my pieces here, my plates. What did I do with them? All right. So we'll put our 3 little guys here. If you're making a, you can make a slimline calendar as well. And maybe I'll do one of those. And you could have like 7 dwarves on there. 7 gnomes, 7 dwarves. Get it? Okay, so that is this one. That is this one and this one. There we go. All right. Love this die set. Whole bunch of dies that come with it. You can even make a gnome without even using any blender pens or anything. You can just use cardstock. So in my October class to go, that we're going to be featuring the gnomes, and we'll be doing a couple little gnome projects like that. Oh, this is the wrong one. This one is for the girl gnome. So I need to grab the correct one here. All right. And go the correct way with it. Okay. It's always a challenge when I'm doing the videos and I'm trying to do my dies on the other side of the table. So normally I like to do them like right where I can see above them. So we're hoping that I've got that lined up. Cross your fingers. I'll go ahead and put my plate down. And let's slide that through. I love when I'm doing a large number of shapes using my dies. I don't have to sit there and fussy cut them out. However, in some circumstances, you don't always have dies with your stamp set. So what I like to do is, you know, my husband comes home, he wants to watch a movie together. Well, I'll just take my dies and I'll wait, because, you know, eventually he's going to fall asleep while the movie's on. So then I start cutting everything. So those are the times that I get to do some things. And I spend quality time with him until he falls asleep. Otherwise, I'll do my little secret, my guilty pleasure. And I'll watch my Hallmark movies while I'm doing my fussy cutting. Okay, so let's see. I'm not going to chit-chat as much as I normally do. I'll try not to, just so I can get through the projects for you. Because I do want to have this up on YouTube, and I don't want it 2 hours long. All right. So then we've got our 3 little gnomes. I'm going to bring back in my calendar. I'm going to bring in some dimensionals here, and we're going to get these guys all worked up. And actually, I think I'm going to use my larger dimensionals on this one, because these are pretty big. So we're going to put 2 on each one. Now the middle gnome, I'm actually going to double up my dimensional layer because I want him to pop out further. So decide on your gnomes which one you want to have in the middle. I'm going to have this little guy with the lights in the middle. So I'm going to peel off my backing right here. And I'm going to pull in another dimensional. I'm going to layer that right on top. Just like that. Okay. And if I want, I could stick him on here first, because he's going to pop up much further than the other one. So the other 2 are going to tuck kind of behind him. This is just so cute. I just love these gnomes. Not that I'm a gnome kind of girl. I don't have gnomes in my garden. I'm not a big fan of that. But I am when I'm card making and stuff. I love these guys. They're so damn cute. Okay. So that is our little calendar. Now you could do this with any designer series paper, any stamps that you have. You're going to use the same dimensions over and over for everything. You just pick and choose what you have. But if you'd like to get this, our Kindest Gnomes comes in a stamp set, and so you can purchase the stamp set individually. If you have a die cut machine, I'd say go ahead and get the gnomes as well. Because this is a bundle and you can save 10%. Also, there's coordinating designer series paper. I don't have this packet open, and because I promised this one to somebody else, I don't want to open it up. Oh, here, I've got to open one right here. So here are some of the fun patterns in this designer series paper. So in the back, some snowflakes, some mushrooms. I'm just going to quickly go through these. You'll see these more. I'll be featuring this in our class. So look forward to more cards. I'm going to also be doing some non-Christmas ones, but I'll have a Christmas version in that as well, so you can see a Christmas version of it. Okay, next project. We're going to go ahead and we're going to do our box. So this time I'm grabbing a piece of clips of coral, and I dropped my other things that I need here, and I need a piece of designer series paper that's 6 by 6. And am I zoomed out all the way? I don't, wait, too close. Yeah, I'm zoomed out as far as I can be. Okay. All right. So I'm not, because I'm trying to go through these pretty quickly so I get through them all. I'm not seeing your comments. So at the end, I'll go back through the comments and see if you have any questions. I want to make sure that I address them. It's just hard to do when I'm doing a project. Okay, so for this one here, I need a piece of cardstock that is 5.5 by 9 inches. So I'm going to cut my 5.5 here. I'll put that one aside. And then I'm going to cut 2 inches off. Wait. I cut this the wrong way. Hold please. Let me grab another piece of paper. Because I want it at 9 inches. Not 8 inches. And yes, in this case, size does matter. So you have to make sure you're cutting it the right way. All right. So I want 9 inches. So let's pull out our, oh, I just lost my. So we'll go to 9 inches here. All right. So now these are going to be scraps. Put them aside, use them for something else. And then we're going to go to 5.5 inches. All right. So that's it for my trimmer for the moment. I'm going to go ahead and do my scoring, and then we'll come back and cut our designer series paper. So for our scoring here, is that really the right size? Hold on, I feel like I'm not on the right size here. No, it's the right size. Okay. All right. So I'm going to have my scoring tool in here, and I'm going to, on a 9-inch side, I'm going to score it at 1 inch, and then I'm going to score it at 4 1/4, and I'm going to go over to 5 1/4, and then I'm going to 8 1/2. So I have a little 1/2 inch strip over here. Now I'm going to turn it 90 degrees, and I'm going to go ahead and score it at 1 inch, 4 1/4, and 5. All right. That is it for our scoring. We'll go ahead and make our box piece first, and then we'll get our designer series paper cut. So the next thing I want to do is these smaller pieces up here, where these folds are, is going to be the box top. So we're not going to be cutting that at all. This is where we're going to be doing the trimming at. So take your snips, and you're going to cut this little rectangle out, this 1/2 inch by 1 inch rectangle. So just cut that away. All right. And we're going to snip this 1 inch tab. Okay, and then I'm going to miter that a little bit. It just helps you form your box better. We're going to come over to this other 1-inch tab, and again, we're going to trim it here, right along that score line, and then, again, give it a little miter edge there. My husband would be so excited that I'm talking about mitered edges. Okay. He's a carpenter, so, you know, when I use the right words. All right. And I'm just going along all my score lines, giving it a good score. I recommend having your bone folder handy dandy and using that, because you know you want good creases. So this is about as much ironing as I do. Just kidding. I don't iron well, but I can crease my cardstock to no end. I guess that's one good thing, right? Okay, so there we go. I'm going to just flip this over now, and I'm going to bring in my designer series paper because I need to trim that so we can attach it to there. So I've got my designer series paper. Now it's directional, so I mean it has a pattern going a certain direction, so I need to make sure that I'm cutting it in the correct way. So I'm going to turn it sideways here, and I'm going to cut this at 3 inches. All right. Then I'm going to turn it again, and I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. All right, so I have 2 pieces that are 3 inches. These are going to go on our panels right here and here. All right, now to make sure that I get these 2 pieces cut correctly, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to go to let's see, I'm going to go 3/4, aren't I? 3/4 of an inch. So this right here on the trimmer goes to 1/2 inch. So here's my 1-inch mark, so I know that's my 3/4 inch mark. So I'm going to put that right there. And I'm going to do 1 more. So I need 2 of each. All right, and I have that. Okay. Now I need to add a little strip along the top. So this time I want my pattern. So if I turn this sideways, it doesn't look right. So I need to make sure I'm cutting my paper the right way. So this time I'm going to turn my paper, and I need, you know what, I'm going to cut it this way first. I need a 3-inch wide piece. And I kind of like this side better. So I'm measuring it at 3 inches. This is a scrap. All right. And now I'm going to cut this at 1/2 inch. And I was just turning my paper because I was like, oh, I like that side of the pattern better. So turn it whatever way floats your fancy. Floats your pants, floats your boat, whatever. Okay. So now let's bring in our treat box. So these are how this is going to go. Actually, this will turn this way. This will go this way. Even though it's cut off, it's still, you can still see that there is a direction to it. All right. So I want to make sure that I have it all set. Okay. All right. So I'm going to apologize now. There is a lawnmower going. I guess my husband has come home and decided to mow the lawn. Yay. I don't have to do it. Whoop, whoop. All right. Before I adhere all these down, adhere all of this down, I need to make my creases here so that my box will fold kind of close by itself, so I don't have to do a bunch of trimming. And you know what, I think maybe just squeezing it might work. You know what, we're going to try it without scoring it. We're going to do a little risky business here. So again, I'm taking my Seal Plus, going slow. I don't want to rip my paper, but I do want to have a good strong bond there. You could definitely use liquid glue on this project. I just happen to have my seal handy dandy right there. With the liquid glue, it would be great for this one because if you need to move your paper, you have the ability to do that with the liquid glue. I'm using seal, so once I put down, I am completely committed. I cannot take it back. All right, and so now we'll get our 4 pieces here. And I just want to do a little bit more on the bottom here. Again, I want my panel to be sticky. Make sure you flip it over and you know which side is the right side up. That's going the direction that you want. There's nothing worse than putting your paper the wrong way on your project. Just saying. because I was explaining that on a video the other day, and I realized that I completely put my card together upside down. It opened the wrong way. And it was a really beautiful card. I'm kind of disappointed because there's no hope for it. I just have to cut it apart. I can't even peel it apart. So, all right. So now these strips here, again, I'm making sure that I definitely have adhesive on the bottom edges as well as a little bit in the middle. And those are going to go right here. And I'm just kind of eyeballing where it gets lined up. Close enough is good enough for me. I don't want to have to stress, especially if I'm going to make like, 20 of these things. I just want to get them made. I don't want to worry about being a perfectionist. It's not worth the stress. It just really isn't. Just let it go, because there are more important things in life to be worried about than if your paper is perfect. Okay, here we go. So now we're going to start adhering everything together. So the easiest way to do this is to take, okay, so I flip this over. I'm flipping this front panel just like that, all right? Because now I'm going to do this. So what I want to do is I want to put adhesive right along this strip. So I really don't need this one. I'm going to just trim this one off. I should have done that at the beginning. So those two rectangles on this 1/2 inch end just need to come off. Right? Oh, and I didn't cut that very straight. All right. And then you want to angle those corners because it'll just make it easier for you to close the box. Okay. So again, you have it flipped over, flip this in, you're going to put adhesive right along this tab. Again, this is kind of where liquid would be nice to use. So I kind of went over, so I need to make sure that I pull in. I'm just taking my nail and pulling in that extra because I didn't want to go over that score line, and I did a little bit. All right, so then you take this 1 inch panel and you just fold it in and then give that a good press. Easiest way to put your box together versus trying to do this and measure up your side. Lay it flat and give it a good rub. Okay, so now this is still your top. So just remember that that is your top. Okay, and I'm going to end up squeezing these in just like, what did I do wrong there? I feel like I did something wrong. Oh well. I'm going to squeeze these two together here. Just like that. So I'm not gluing, I'm not putting in any adhesive. And then I'm going to take a clip and put this right on the top of your box. You could punch holes and tie ribbon, or you could use a fancy dancy little clip like that. And I'm going to put my bottom together. So I'm going to tuck those tags in and decide which side is going to be your front and your back. So I try to find out where my little side came in. So here is where that seam is. So I want this to be my front. All right. So when you do this then, oops, got a little piece of adhesive there. You're going to put adhesive right on the ends here. You could do it on these tabs as well. If you were to do that, just flip your box open, put your adhesive there, put your adhesive here. When you fold this in, and line that up. Okay, then I'm going to run adhesive along this side. I'm going to make sure I go right to the edge there. And I'll just fold my box, and you can actually go in with a little something here and give that a good mud press. Okay, so there you go. That is kind of a little skinny little milk box. All right, let's decorate this one up. So we're going to color some more gnomes in, and I promise the next project doesn't have gnomes. And I'm going to grab a sentiment too. So I'm going to grab just a little strip of cardstock here. And I'm going to grab this stamp set in. And I'm going to say your kindness does not go unnoticed. Stamp in whatever color you like. I think because one of the predominant colors on here is Starry Sky, I think that's what I'm going to use. So let me go grab my Starry Sky stamp pad. Oh my goodness. So I tried to roll my chair out so I can get up. And my dog has all of his toys like literally right behind my chair. So if I roll my chair back, I'm rolling all over his toys and I can't get out. The little stinker. How many of you have little stinkers at home? Whether they're your child or your dog, or maybe it's your cat. All right. So I just have a scrap piece right here and I'm just going to stamp it right in the middle. And I'm not worried, oopsie, that I had a little shadow there because I'm going to be trimming this one out. But I do want the entire sentiment stamped. Okay. I'm going to clean this right away before it gets all over the place. Hello, Diane. All right. So we already stamped these, so I'm going to put those aside. Let's go ahead and just trim. Now, if you didn't want to have to trim this out, you don't have to. You could easily just do this. Just trim it straight. And straight. You can use your trimmer, or you can take a long scissors and just go across like that. Or if you don't cut straight at all, then use your trimmer. Or fussy cut it out. Those are your choices. All right. So we're going to be putting this right on here. I'm going to set that aside because I want to color my little gnomies in. Where did my sheet go? Where's my sheet? Where'd my little gnomies go? All right. Hey gnomes, where'd you go here? I stamped a whole extra sheet so I didn't have to do this. Oh, here they are. Right here. Okay. So by the magic of TV, I've actually colored them. So here they are. You saw me color before. You saw me use my die cut machine. So this time I used Parakeet Party and I used Calypso Coral. I forgot to put the glitter on the Wink of Stella on these guys. Let me try doing that right now. Sorry, I completely forgot. So I've got my little Wink of Stella here. I'm going to squeeze it, but when I do this, I want to do it on a scrap piece of paper here. So let me just grab this. I'm going to squeeze it out. See what happens? It comes out really fast. You don't want that to happen on your project. So now I'm just going to add in my Wink of Stella around his beard. I just want to give it a little bit of glimmer, a little bit of shine. Funny story is, as I'm putting this on, it reminds me of my grandmother, because she, for some reason, liked to have a lot of things glittery. Yeah, is that a word? So she put gold glitter on like everything. And so as I'm coloring these, I keep thinking, I'm becoming my grandmother. I'm putting gold glitter on everything. But I'm not the only one who does it, so I'm not feeling too bad. But yeah, she would take some of her figurines and add gold glitter to make them stand out more. Okay, so there we go. There's my little Wink of Stella. It adds just a little something more. So here's another one I have when they're dried. It's just very subtle. Gives it a little extra shine. Okay. On these, we're not going to be using Wink of Stella. We're just going to be putting these right on the front. And I really thought these two are cute together. So now this box here, I would probably fill with, you could put chapstick in there. You could put anything that's really 1 inch wide. You could put some snacks in there. You could put candies in there. I happen to have stuff, but my oldest son decided, oh look, Mom bought snacks and ate them. So yeah, I don't have little snacks to put in here. Darn him. And he was supposed to go and replace them, and he still hasn't. It's not that I mind that he ate. I mean, it's not that it's not the cost by any means. It was just the convenience of I had them here so I could use them for my videos. Because I really don't want to have candies up in my room. Oh, you know what? I do have something that will go perfectly in here. I just looked over and they just jumped out at me. All right, so your kindness does not go unnoticed. So I have Jolly Ranchers. So I had gotten Jolly Ranchers one time for my Sweet as a Peach class. And I actually sorted through all the bags of Jolly Ranchers so I could just find the peach ones. All right, so now I put a whole bunch in there. I put my little clip on. If you wanted, you could add a little piece of ribbon to that. I like it how it is, but if you want to fancy it up, feel free. So that is our next project. And I'll try to write up the directions for this. It's sometimes kind of hard with the box to write up directions, but I'll see if I can. I will have the dimensions and everything on the project sheet for the calendar. So if you're on my email list, you will be getting that tomorrow. All right, let's just put all these pieces away because we're done with the stamp set. See, I told you, I promised. We're done with the gnome stamp set, but I really do love it. I think it's cute, cute, cute. All right. We'll get rid of some of these extra blocks and everything that we have out because now we're going to get into the real fun stuff. So I remember, oh my gosh, when I first started as a demonstrator, I had a lot of clubs. I think I had 3 clubs going at one time. So it was a lot of fun because one of them, they wanted a scrapbook page, a 3D element, and then some cards. So I would do like 6 projects. They would, you know, commit to spending a certain amount each month. And it was really fun because we'd get together like on a Friday night or a Sunday afternoon. And we would just have the best time together. They'd be making their projects, laughing away. And then this is one of the projects that I came up with. So this is, it's been kind of hard to show you, but this is a wine glass votive holder. Now, I'm going to tell you, don't use real candles. Use these little fake ones. And let's see if I turn off my light, if I can show you how this will work. So can you see it? Oh, not really. So it shines through so you can see that in there. I don't know, you really can't see it. But it's just a fun little thing. So you can use these as decorations for a table. You could use them for like weddings or a shower. Decorate your house. So this I've just embossed. I've taken my vellum and I embossed it. And then I added the pearlized effects. Okay. So this is vellum cardstock. You need to use a thicker cardstock. Oh. And if you are selling these at a craft fair, I'm going to tell you right now, put a tag on there saying, do not use real candles. Because this can start on fire. Protect yourself. I know it's kind of the obvious, but again, look at the people out in the world that bought, you know, certain fast food coffee and spilled it on themselves and complained they got burned. Well, duh, hot coffee is hot. Just saying, sometimes the most obvious things do have to be stated, especially when you're selling stuff at a craft fair or a farmer's market. Don't just assume someone will know it, because they won't. All right, so I've got my fancy dancy little pattern here. All it is I've traced this onto a piece of, you know, that cardboard that comes with your designer series paper. I just traced that out. I'll have a PDF. I'll attach that to the email so you can print it on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and then trace it onto a piece of thicker cardstock. Not cardstock, I do cardboard, okay? And this is how we're doing it. Now this piece turned out pretty poorly, so I'm going to show you some tricks on how to get it to turn out much better. And let me grab a piece of my vellum cardstock. Ooh, and I have a different way to show you too. I think I'm going to show you this one first, and then we'll do the vellum cardstock. The vellum cardstock we're going to be embossing. This one is using our Snowflake specialty vellum. We don't even have to emboss. It's already done for us. So let's grab out a piece of this. And let's see what fun patterns we have in here. So there are 6 sheets. I believe there's multiple designs. 1, 2. I think they're all the same design. Oh no. There's 2 different designs. So, ooh, this one's pretty cool. This one, I don't, you can't really see it, has actually these dots, but you can feel it. It's like, it's a texture. I mean, it's like fuzzy. There's fuzzy dots. So one is fuzzy dots, and one is embossed vellum, silver embossed vellum. We're going to use the fuzzy dots. Yeah. Oh, that's not going to be as pretty enough. No, we're not going to use fuzzy dots. We're going to use this one. It's just not going to be as pretty on the wine glass. So, all right. So let's take this. We're going to take our handy dandy little pattern here. I'm going to flip this on the back, and I'm just going to match up one of my sides right here. I mean, you can put this on however you want to fit, however many you can fit on there. I'm going to grab a pencil, and I want to just lightly trace this. This is so much nicer having this printed vellum. It's so much faster. So the snowflake vellum is available in our holiday mini catalog. And now I'm just going to cut that out with my scissors. I drew it very light. It's kind of hard probably for you to see in the video, but I didn't want that to be showing. So I'm cutting just inside my pencil mark. Oop, I cut that funny. Probably should have drawn a little darker because I'm having a hard time seeing it to cut it. All right, where'd it go? All right, I'm just guessing it's here. And the reason I did pencil is so that I can actually go back and erase it. And I'm sorry I'm having to hold this at a weird angle. It's just so I can see my pencil line. But all I'm doing is just cutting out that trace pattern I did. And I can get probably at least 2 out of here. So 1, 2, yeah. I can get 2 per sheet of paper. All right. But I tell you what, it goes faster than doing what I was doing. But I'm going to show you what I did. Oh, I did cut that pretty poorly, didn't I? Yes, I did. All right. Now I see my pencil line. I'm just going to come back in, and I'm going to kind of regroup here. Because you can see I cut this pretty poorly, and it won't sit right if I don't have it cut correctly. My seams won't meet correctly is what I was trying to say. So it was going like this before. So my seams will meet just fine now. Just like that, okay? So we're gonna leave it opening on top. That's for that light to go through. So what I like to do is actually take my tear and tape, and because this is printed vellum, you really aren't gonna notice the tear and tape on it. You may a little bit, but you could use liquid glue. It's going to be a lot harder for liquid glue to work. You're going to really have to hold it for a long time. You'd have to really kind of blend that glue in with your finger and make it a very thin. And you might have to do it a couple times. So I like tear and tape. It's narrow and it's super sticky. This, again, if you're afraid of commitment, is not the stuff for you. But this will not come apart. Just saying. All right. So then I'm just going to roll this up. And I'm going to make sure that wherever I put this, I'm putting it over far enough to make sure that my tape is actually catching something. There we go. All right. I'm going to take my wine glass. I'm going to take my candle. pop it on my wine glass. And I really want to see if this will, it doesn't really show all that well. Sorry. It's kind of hard to see. All right. But that is your little glass bottom. So now let me show you another way to do this. So you don't have designer series paper that's embossed for you. You don't have the little fuzzy stuff on it. So I'm going to use a piece of vellum cardstock. You do have to use cardstock. Regular vellum is just way too thin for this. It'll tear pretty easily, so it's got to be the cardstock. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to trace this. So again, the pattern I have is not perfectly drawn, so if you want to do a more rounded edge and have something to cut along, feel free. All right. So I'm going to cut this out first. It's going to be much easier for me to do my embossing if I cut it out first. And cut along that line. And on this, I can erase it if I have a good eraser. So check your eraser on your scrap paper before you start erasing on your vellum, because you don't want to get those schmeary marks from an eraser. I know schmeary is a very technical term used here in the studio. Discombobulated, smudgy. Yep, very technical, crafty terms. All right. And I'm just cutting this out. If you have a giant circle cutter, you can do that too. Okay, and then you have some scraps for later on. So now here's the fun part. So I'm going to take my eraser and I'm just going to erase along there. Now I know this is a good one, so it doesn't leave any little streaky marks there. So I know I'm in good hands. I'm just going along the edge, getting rid of those pencil lines. That's why you don't want to use pen or marker. On my pattern I use marker, but okay. Let me get all that off, clean off my eraser goobers there. Get all this clean. Okay, so now I'm going to pull in a new product that Stampin' Up! Has. Actually, it's not new, but Stampin' Up! Hasn't offered it for a while. Super excited that they came back with it. So this is an embossing additions tool. It has your embossing tray, and check this puppy out. It's got a nice little cork here. Before it had this little plastic cork that would easily pop out. Can't tell you how many times I've lost those. But this one has one that screws right on. Okay, now also your embossing buddy. Woohoo! They've got the embossing buddy back. Rock on. They also have a brush and a fantastic reverse tweezer. So what do I mean by reverse? So normally to open, you would, the open and you squeeze it to close. This is reverse. So you squeeze it to open. But this helps you hold on to a small piece or narrow piece of cardstock when you're embossing. Also helps you pick up those tiny little pieces of things that you need to adhere to something. Great tools. I'm going to use my old embossing buddy and embossing folder just because I have it out. But I love the fact that we have that new one. Okay, so I've got my silver embossing folder. Silver. What is this called? Embossing powder. I've got my little embossing buddy. All right, so what does an embossing buddy do for you? It does a whole lot, just let me tell you. So you want to go along your project. Just got a whole thing. It's like a little powder. But what it does is it takes the static out of it. So that when you go to... Sorry, I've got all this eraser stuff still in there. When you go to put your embossing powder on your project, after you've stamped it, it will only stick to what it's supposed to. And that is really key. So on this particular one that I did earlier, I did not use my embossing buddy. So you can see I had all this residual embossing powder that didn't come off. So yeah. All right. Then we're going to be using this awesome background set. It's called Snow Crystal. So I thought this would be perfect to go on vellum. How'd you miss the vellum? Oh yeah, it's in the mini catalog. Okay, I'm going to use that, and I'm going to bring in my Versamark because it's a clear watermark. It's kind of a sticky ink, so our embossing powder is going to stick to it. So because it's such a large stamp, I'm taking my stamp pad to it versus it to my stamp pad. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and stamp this, and I'm going to try and get as much stamped on this side as I can. All right, and then I'm going to stamp one more. And if you're a slower stamper, and I don't mean any insult by that whatsoever, and I'm just making sure I don't have my edges, and I do. Important that you don't have ink on your edges. So I'm just taking my chamois here and wiping that off. Why is that important? Because if you get that extra ink on there, that sticky ink, that is where your embossing powder is going to stick. All right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm not pushing down hard, I'm just tapping frequently. And now I'm going to put the next one on. Going back to, if you're a slower stamper, what you want to do is pause in between stamping. And what do I mean by that? So I've got two images that are stamped now. I'm going to go ahead and bring my embossing tray in. And before that ink dries, I'm going to go ahead and put my embossing powder on. Now, Versamark takes quite a while to dry. I mean, not like quite a while. You have like a couple minutes here. All right. Okay. So I flick it a little bit if I don't have it fully covered. Again, I just give it a little flick on the back. Kind of loosen up that extra powder. If I find an area that I missed, I can go back and add a little bit. Okay. All right. So now I can continue with my stamping. I do want to leave some white area to have that soft glow show through. So I'm going to go over here now, and I'll stamp this last side. All right. I am not yet going to add my pearl effects yet, because I want to have this embossed first. So let's bring back in our embossing pail here. And I just saw another area that kind of, I must have flicked too much off of. All right. Now, if you have your ceiling fan going, it's going to also impact how much you are getting on your project. All right. And I'm just flicking it a little bit. Now, if I find some spots where I have extra embossing powder, that's where I want to bring that brush in. And I want to, I just put the brush away. I want to brush off the excess. Okay. And make sure I don't have any excess on there. All right. There we go. I'm going to move this out of my way. And cover my stamp pad. We'll plug in the embossing gun, which I forgot to do. Right. So this is our embossing tool, and I'm gonna put it on 1 for at the moment, just so it gets a little warm. Once it gets warmer, then I'll go ahead and bump it up to 2. If I'm using a thin vellum, I want to leave it at 1. Okay, it's not the amount of heat, it's how hard that heat is being blown out. Okay, all right, so that's kind of warm. So now I'm going to just go ahead and I'll try to do this so you can see it. This will change really quickly when it's ready to go. So see how it went from that powder to that shine. So that is what heat embossing is all about. Okay, you can do it from underneath, or you can do it from on top. I don't recommend pulling it down your paper on your desk. And sometimes the heat of it can curl, so that's also another reason that you can use the #1 setting. And I'm just moving my fingers around here so I don't get them burned as I'm going. It's kind of awkward to hold here. So I'm going to go ahead and emboss it and I'll bring it back in. So it goes pretty quick once you get it started. Can you see that going? Ouch. Oh, I'm not going to be able to hold it on the camera like that. I'm burning my fingers too much. Let's see if I can do it this way for you. You just want to make sure you have it all shiny. And then when your fingers get warm, just move your paper around. You don't want to overheat this because you can actually melt it. So just as soon as it gets shiny, move on. Right. So we're going to end up doing the same thing with the tear and tape. But before I do that, I'm going to go ahead and put my pearlized effects on there so you can see what that's going to do. And once I do that, I'm going to have to let that sit and dry. So I'm glad I showed you the other. No, it's just not quite done over there. I missed a little bit of... So the reason I went back is I could see some areas that looked kind of like dull. It wasn't quite as shiny. And those are the areas that I had to emboss just a little more because it didn't completely heat up. All right. Okay. So that is how you heat emboss. Again, I'm just going to, well, let's clean this mess up first. Then I'll show you the other stuff. So again, this is that little plug I was telling you about in the older trays. Very easy to lose, and once you lose it, it's kind of a bummer. So this is also a great corral for pearls and beads and sequins. Keeps them all in their place. All right, so I am getting rid of that because I don't want to have embossing powder all over. And the next thing that's the greatest tool, your lint roller. All right. I'm going to do a project on this for Farmer's Market because it is a crafter's best friend. So we are going to have 1 week is going to be crafter's best friend gifts. Can't wait. I designed something really cool and I can't wait to share it with you. I'm so excited about it. It turned out so good. I'm not bragging. I'm really excited. I got myself to have it turn out so good. Okay. So I'm grabbing my little pearlized effects and I'm shaking this up. And I'm going to go ahead and just put some dots around here. Now, it's going to take a little while for this to dry. So, and don't worry, those little, I don't know, whirly things that are popping up, those are going to disappear. They're going to flatten out. Just be careful how much you squeeze. And we'll put a couple over here. Whoops, that was kind of a big one. All right. You could use white. There's also like a gray, like a dark gray that comes in this. So there are actually 3 in this package. There is the white and then the black and then the real red. You could also adhere sequins to this if you wanted. Just giving you different options to decorate. I think that's going to be enough. So I want to set that aside to dry. And then I'll put my tear and tape probably at this end because that's most embossed. So it's going to hide that tape better than the other side. But then I'm going to end up with this. So just a really fun project. And so I told you those little wisps that we're showing, they're going to dry flat. Right? There'll be bumps, but it's going to dry flat. It's not going to have those little pointy whips. So yeah, so let's bring in our 3 projects for today's Farmer's Market. Again, if you want the project sheets for this, make sure you sign up for my email subscription, and there is a post for that on the Facebook page. I'll also put it in this group, so it's on the My Stamp Studio group. So we made our fun little calendar, our little easel desk calendar, our little treat box, and again, our vellum wine glass. So these are things that you can sell at a craft fair or a farmer's market. You don't have to sell them for a whole lot, but you can make a couple extra bucks to buy some more supplies. But just some fun things to make, easy to store. So if you didn't even want to assemble these, you could just have them all decorated, and right before you go, like the night before, you could just go ahead and adhere them together. You know, fill them with whatever candy. Take a bag of candy with you. You don't necessarily have to put the candy in on all of them that are just sitting on your table. Just go ahead and set it on your table. Let them see this one, and when they say, oh yeah, I want one of those, then you just fill it up with your candy. So otherwise, you'll get kids opening this up, and they'll, you know, end up ripping the box, and yeah, so that can happen. All right, so thank you for watching tonight. Make sure you subscribe to my email. If you need any of the products that are used in tonight's video, this is the host code, and I hope you'll use that. That helps me be able to bring you more fun events like this, so I can share new products with you and just do a lot of things with you. I will be coming up with some sort of customer special. I just haven't decided what that's going to be. So I'll have it decided by tomorrow morning when I send out the project sheet. Thanks, take care, and have a great evening. We'll see you next week. Hump Day Lunch Break Live is on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, it'll be week 2 of Farmer's Market. Love you all, and thanks for joining. Oh, I was going to go back and see if there's any questions. So let me do that real quick here. All right, so let's see. Okay, you have the vellum. The Snowflake vellum is in our holiday mini catalog. And let's see what else here. Yes, I still can't iron. I try, but I can't iron all that well. Okay. Oh, yes. You know, those two brothers are peas in a pod. Yeah, 5 minutes into the movie, they're snoring away, right? I wasn't having my feed freezing, so hopefully you were able to see it. If not, you can watch the replay. I will be putting it up on YouTube, so it will be available on YouTube. And again, let me just bring this up so you can see all the dates. So I'm going, Farmer's Market is Thursdays at 6:45 this week all the way through September 29th. We're kind of like just changing up the Stampin' Fun and More to be my Farmers series, my online Farmers Market. Oh my goodness, I couldn't say that. All right, take care. Have a wonderful weekend. I hope I got to everyone's questions and comment. All right. Bye.